is Guardian Radio, your station for up-to-the-minute news, intelligent, interactive, and engaging conversation. 96.9 FM. The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
What's happening, Mom? How about me and you getting down tonight?
Boy, who you calling, Mama? You got any money, boy?
Money? Woman, I will have you know that my pa is a Bahamian industrialist. We got 3 coca plum factory, 4 juju cannery. We just bottle tamarind and dilly from the orchard. And I won't talk about the pigeon plum plantation.
What? I didn't know y'all had it.
Good morning this morning. Welcome back. Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Are we all living in the hands of the finance man? It's Wednesday, the 29th of May, 2024. It's Budget Wednesday. You're on the clock with Erin Greene, and we will be talking budget today with a special focus on the misery index and ease of doing business and ease of accessing services. We got some budget questions. I have some questions for the audience. What do you think needs to be addressed in this year's budget? What do you think the theme for this year's budget is? Why does our budget have a theme? It's not a play, it's not a festival, it's not a conference. Why does it have a theme? And if it does have a theme, what is it? And can we identify a new legislative agenda and policy initiatives that reflect that theme? Where and how can the government save money? 11 new cars for 11 urban renewal stations, jitneys and public transportation, no quick fixes. And following our conversation yesterday with Michael F. Forbes, host of the podcast, A Safe Space, we're going to be talking about economic uncertainty, how it impacts the misery index. What is it we expect from the budget debate and the budget presentation? And how are you feeling? Where's your misery index at personally? What is driving your misery index? What contributes to your personal misery index? What factors contribute to our collective misery? And does the government see the misery index as an important indicator, or is it just more political rhetoric? As we get the show started, because you can see I'm excited, just a brief reminder for all Hannah Hasty Times family members, we're having a general meeting this Thursday, the 30th of May, 2024 at 6 p.m. at St. John's College. If you know a Hannah, a Hasty, or a Times, please spread the word. Give them a pinch and tell them their family waiting to see them. We are going to be discussing the details of the upcoming jumble sale, the upcoming family reunion, August 1st through 4th, and other family association details. I see the phone is lit right up. I'm coming to you right now, caller. In our discussion about the misery index, I want to talk about PMH and PHA, Road Traffic Department, and RBPF Road Traffic Department, among other issues. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Great. My misery index is geared towards my Bahamian people.
Okay.
I think we need to be honest, and at some point we need to realize what government has been doing to us over the past. It's not in our best interest. There's no way we could still be supporting persons who contribute to a system that has been oppressive and not in the best interest of the average Bahamian people. And so this is where my misery index, that my Bahamian people's eyes begin to open and their ear, as they listen, they begin to hear. And let's have knowledge and understanding and begin to do things with common sense. Thank you.
Absolutely. what I take from what the caller said just now, I think about it, I think we have a lack of organization among us. And so the frustration that you have, you say you want Bahamians to see what you see. I think we are already there. I think Bahamians see what you see, but there are no systems for Bahamians who see what you see to plug into to be able to craft or create solutions to what it is you see. For me, a lack of structure and what you call infrastructure in our communities, in the various sectors of the country. I think there's a whole lot of chaos and disorganization. Let's just look at the judiciary. We're not talking about the judge's side. We're not talking about their rulings. Let's look at the judiciary. The number of people who complain about the duration of a matter, how long it takes for a matter to move through the courts, for resolution to be achieved. Lawyers not showing up when court cases are scheduled. Lawyers continually rescheduling matters. Lawyers not being available when they say they're supposed to be available. We have an element of disorganization that stretches across sectors. We have no time management, and this has an economic impact. One of the things I wanted to talk about today in terms of PMH and PHA, an experience shared with me in an elderly person has an appointment at a government clinic. They made their appointment for a certain time, let's say 12 o'clock. They were given that appointment. They get to their appointment early. They leave home early to ensure that they're not late. They arrive an hour early. Their appointment is for 12. They don't get seen for about 7 hours. Roughly 6 hours they don't get seen. What was the point of giving them an appointment if they have to come in and register and it's a first come, first serve rotation of patients? Why is it that people are given appointment times and are left waiting a minimum of 30 minutes before they can have the appointment? There's a lack of organization across every sector that impacts economic success. That's why road traffic department and RBPF road traffic is a part of this discussion. Because you could have all kind of budget discussions you want. But if you are not tuned in to the movement of goods, people, and services, if you are not fine-tuning the mechanisms that control that dynamic, then what you have a budget for? What do you have a budget for? Joining me this morning is Mr. C.A. Nuri. Good morning, Mr. Nuri.
Good morning, good morning. I'm excited about this topic mostly because there are a number of Bahamians who are concerned, a number of persons who are proclaiming that they're hurting. Despite the number of government activities, despite the number of government programs, they are complaining that things are hard, times are hard. In this economic boom that we are touting, say, man, the Bahamas is expanding, the economy is expanding, the government is giving out monies like crazy, right? People are employed. But there are a number of people saying things, what did German used to say, the pastor? The price too high? Mm-hmm. Like the price is too high. Like they can't afford gas at the gas station. They can't afford to pay their electricity bill. They can't afford to pay school fees, despite working 2-3 jobs, despite being making the most they've ever made in their lives. They just cannot survive to live in the Bahamas. Mm-hmm. Now, this is mostly from people from Nassau. I can only imagine people in Grand Bahama where soda is $5.
And-
People in Acklands where potato chip is $2, $2.50, right? People in Long Island where gas is pricey, Andres, where things are expensive. How are they managing in this Bahamas?
I mean, imagine in North Andros, where many residents are flying to New Providence to conduct banking business.
Yes.
And,
And just to make a deposit,
Right.
to keep their money safe, they have to spend hundreds of dollars to save money.
and when I said no quick fixes, right? Like that's a perfect example. People in the Family Islands are flying to New Providence to conduct banking services because of the lack of banking footprint or presence on the island. Even when there are some services, the services aren't functioning properly, right? Then to come to New Providence, to have to either organize transportation or catch cabs, taxis everywhere, to get to a bank, to find out that you can't conduct your business today because that person is not in office, or you needed to make an appointment for to conduct this business, but you couldn't get through to anybody at the bank on the phone line, on the telephone. Nobody responded to the emails that you sent trying to set up an appointment. So you come to Nassau on a flight hoping to get back on a flight the same day. But not only can you not get back on the flight, nobody at the bank can give you any information as to when if you can have an emergency appointment, if you need to rebook your ticket for tomorrow or the day after or the day after. But I say there are no quick fixes because we've reached a point in the devolution of the Bahamas where multiple layers of the problem of a dynamic or an ecosystem or a sector are dysfunctional or defunct or just broken, or they've been so bastardized that they can't operate the way that they are supposed to operate. For instance, bus drivers want fuel stipend to offset high price of diesel.
I want a stipend. And when is it the bus drivers? Is this the employees or the bus owners? Or the bus owners and the employees are the same thing?
Maybe in some instances, the bus owner is also the person who drives the bus solely. In some instances, the bus driver will hire a secondary driver to cover him on his break or to cover half of the day or when he's unable to work. But I think a large number of buses are owned by people that don't operate them. Right? And I think just like the dynamic in the taxi union, we may have the same dynamic taking place in the, I don't even want to call it public transportation because that's not what it is, in the jitney industry. And I make the point, I'm not going to call it public transportation because there are no regulations, there are no rules, and if there are rules, they're not being enforced, right? You don't even have bus stops.
Or proper bus stops.
So how does a bus driver assess the amount of gas that they likely use if there are no bus stops? So I can't say, well, I can be making 10 stops per rotation on this route because there are 10 designated bus stops.
So when they say by stipend, is they say stipend?
So like,
Is it like a $2 stipend or $2 per person stipend?
or maybe it's $2 per gallon. So the government will cover $2 of the cost of every gallon. But then bus drivers need to begin to adhere to policies. Producer, let's go to the phone line. Right, there are no quick fixes. As far as I'm concerned, this should be a totally different
But
conversation.
didn't they have an increase just recently?
25 cents. In fact,
And
the
they
article
still want
says,
a stipend?
pause. We're going to be looking at a fuel stipend and licensing waivers because 25 cents was not sufficient. Gas has been predicted to go up to potentially $6.50 this summer or over. 25 cents. What's 25 cents going to do?
I got to pay the 25 cents. 25 cents is a lot.
That's what, and that's what I want to continue talking about when I say there are no quick fixes. The 25 cent increase in and of itself only creates more problems. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Erin. Good morning, CA.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
Doing great. Listen, a couple things that you mentioned just now that piqued my prompting to call the show. First and foremost, with the you say not the public transportation system, but with the jitney system. You know, in some of the cases that you see that this industry is going through is because of the operators and the persons who represent the operators in the execution of their duties on a daily basis on the streets. You know, you want to now justify why this increase is important. You have many of these jitneys going off route. You have many of these jitneys closing their operation while still rolling on the streets. You have many of them who break the laws by creating third lanes, by pulling on the sidewalks, you know, impeding the movement of the pedestrian on the sidewalk. You have a whole myriad of things that they need to get corrected. I believe basically two things need to happen as far as the public transportation / jitney is concerned in this country. First and foremost, I see no reason why the government, even though we know government agencies aren't even operating properly today as they should, but a public transportation system, which should be one of the most simplest things that you can operate once you set the parameters properly. I do not see why the government cannot efficiently run a public transportation in tandem with the private jitney operators, so we can finally begin a process of encouraging persons to leave their cars at home and take the public transportation system.
Jeff, sir, I can tell you why. Because they're in conflict. Because it presents a conflict. The greatest tax source, what's one of the greatest tax sources for the government? Automotive-related sales.
Yeah.
Gas tax, tax on car, tax on parts, tax on road, right? And so it appears as if it's counterintuitive to them to ensure that there is a properly functioning public transportation system.
Well, Erin, I'm going to tell you then, and I am in absolute agreement with you, even though I still hold some credence of belief that I see where the systems still, if the enforcement is in place and if the right persons are at the helm with executing these duties, can do what they're supposed to do in order to create the environment and create the paradigm that is necessary, I believe that the two still can work in tandem. You see, the biggest thing, and I'll close on this, you know, many persons want to take the public transportation system here, but the oddity with it is that because it is unreliable as it pertains to how they are running, you know, like when you go to Miami, for instance, you know that the bus will come to that bus stop by a certain time, which means that it is required that you be to that bus stop 10 or 20 minutes prior to that time. You're going to discipline yourself to get there. And the buses will not stop anywhere other than those designated spots where they're supposed to run. If we can set it up properly and put the right people in place to enforce what needs to be done, we can finally get a decent run public transportation system that people can believe in, and they would be encouraged to leave their cars at home. That's all it is. But thanks for taking my call there.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. It's a story in today's headlines. The Nassau Guardian business section, bus drivers want fuel stipend to offset high price of diesel. A fuel stipend is not going to resolve the core problem, right? Dropping the price of diesel or incentives to manage the price of diesel for bus operators, that's not going to provide the solution. We need a unified government oversight managed public transportation system where rules are enforced and drivers are required to follow the rules of the road. When we realize it goes deeper, we have a cultural issue as well. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning to both of you. C. Alan Johnson.
Morning, morning.
Yeah, I just want to say something, right? Because I hear people always keep talking. I know Jeff just spoke about it, right? The so-called tandem services. If a properly executed ground transportation versus the busing system is done, they will actually do away with the need for cars. They'll actually do away with the need for even taxis. They'll actually do away with the need for these so-called private buses. Because if the systems run efficiently, run using green energy and etc., running on time, that you could set, say, every 20 minutes during the daytime, up to 40 minutes maybe in the evening time, right, 24 hours a day. It creates a functionality. It increases productivity. I think a study's been done to increase productivity in the Bahamas by probably about 60 to 70%. Why? Because students and these so-called parents who get off from bus and have to go pick up their kids and drop them off, all would function. The problem is you hit it exactly on the head, as I've been saying. We have a carbon-based taxation system. Even though we run around the world talking about green this and blue this and ocean this and carbon this and climate this, we have a taxation-based system. And this has been the hindrance to the development of Bahamians. It is only when we have a real conversation about a total reform of this economy, including the digitization, the datification and digital transformation of this economy, that we will be able to do. Because every time you fix something in the Bahamas, you have to create a revenue source for the Bahamian government that replaces that which you took away from them. And that comes from the growth of the Bahamian people, which we have not seen happening. And so until we have that conversation, we're going to keep doing the same thing over and over again. But here's what happens, though. We have an opportunity to have this conversation as soon as we finish with this distraction on the 1st. We then have two competing major parties that we have the opportunity to demand concrete, concise vision, strategies, and plans to accompany that vision to how you're going to execute and how you will include Bahamians into this and how you're going to reform the economy. No matter what anybody said, we have not grown a single year in 30 years.
Thank you.
We needed to grow to keep pace.
Thank you,
so
C.
much.
Allen. Let's go to the next caller, and then I've got two texts here. Text, I see you. Good morning, caller. Oh, man, caller, I was right. Caller, call back. You heard me say I was coming to you. Text here, Erin, bus drivers want fuel stipend. Producer, let's take the call. They need to stop doing foolishness. I was on a bus 21A where they were playing a movie with pornography while the school children was on the bus, and the driver was touching and flirting with a young girl in school uniform. Don't talk about stipend, talk about control and reform, and I'll add enforcement. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Erin. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Erin, sorry, I called you wrong. I do apologize.
Don't watch nothing.
Kirk, my name is Kirk Farquharson. C. Allen, my good buddy, just listened to just now. Always we are two of those persons who always putting things forward in terms of to help improve people first,
Yes.
which who will eventually improve the country. I just turned on the radio 7 minutes ago. Now, are you talking about this busing system?
We're talking about it. We're talking about it in the context of the budget debate, the misery index, and the ease of doing business and ease of accessing services.
Okay, that's fine. But it just tickled my ear because I know about 15 or more than 15 years ago, as part of a national development plan that I have designed, that I put together, I included a public transportation system, which I had presented to the members of the former PLP government, some of their persons within their department. And it was just overlooked and just thrown by the wayside. It's a project that will designed to improve the busing system. It will create avenues and opportunities for a whole lot of other businesses that will come off it with the notion that has been led by the government. It can be public, private, however you want to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
But it is a serious thing when you have persons within the community who are putting things forward that will tremendously help and improve the conditions of this country, help and improve the processes of this country, help and improve people to get involved in the development of this country when they're being knocked down and denied by persons who are in government. It is a problem, and that's why we can't go nowhere. I'm sorry, but the persons from everybody from that old mindset, that Kingdomite era, if they are still around in the government and the leadership of this country, we're not going to go nowhere. As C. Allen say, he always talk about we need to move into the 21st century and so forth. Their mindset is still back in the 1970s and 80s. And if they are leading this country, I'm sorry, but this is a prime example of why we are not going anywhere, or if we're moving slower than snails. And I'm sorry, but again, I will take the opportunity and say I would like to present such a project to whoever it needs to be presented. And I'm sure it will make a difference. There are about 10, 15 projects that I've produced over the last 15 years that will impact this country in such a positive way. The FNM, neither the PLP have even thought about such a thing over these years.
But Mr. Farquharson,
and it will impact this country with immediate effect.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Farquharson. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go online right now and figure out what type of website you could create quickly and inexpensively and begin uploading your proposals, your policy initiative ideas to a website where people could see it. Sometimes you don't present it to the parties, you present it to the public and let the public demand that the parties look at it. Thank you very much for your contribution.
Well, I certainly will make enough. I'll have to get somebody to do that.
You know somebody. His name is C. Allen.
You know, I could call C. Allen because definitely, because the job that I have is very demanding, and it's an important job to the nation.
Yes.
And so the time to do that stuff is difficult. So I will have to allow somebody to do that. And I certainly will call on C. Allen, who is my buddy. He was one of the persons who assisted me when I launched the national protest against the sale of BTC for way back then and all the rest of that stuff. So
okay,
we will get into it. All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
C. Allen, find some some IT students from UB North or from UB Nassau and get them to assist Mr. Farquharson in not just creating a website, but creating a mode of presentation of the information. I got a text here. Oh boy. C. Allen, please stop slapping up. This Pintard brown nose stuff is getting old. And we will never say data. We will always say data. I have a little British in me. Am I not allowed to say data? Am I not allowed to pretend like I'm amongst good people? We will always say data. These dinosaur oligarchs are the reason this country is still enslaved, not even by the king, but other foreigners. Ministers did what for the country? Locked down, forgetting water, selling coconuts. Meanwhile, foreigners do whatever. It was business as usual every day for them in the shanty towns. When you say foreigners doing whatever, I thought you meant Robinson Crusoe, you know, the people who was eating lobster out of season, and the white people saw them and it was an adventure to them. The text says, tell Kirk to call C. Allen. Does C. Allen have the ear of the next prime minister? Does he have it in a box? Do they have an appointment at PMH to sew it back on? What's happening?
I like what you did there.
Another text, a call coming to you right now. Lower the cost of living, make wages competitive, make the environment and landscape more appealing, fix the roads.
How does one lower the cost of the economy?
Lower the cost of living. And let me write that down and go to the caller, and then we get back to that. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
How are you?
Boy, I've seen better days. I've seen worse too. So I've taken it in stride. There's a dynamic in play that we don't consider. You touched on it earlier. The chaos government makes money from, and to replace whatever they cut off is the laziness of it. They don't want to go into that. It's a good idea to have a very good transportation system.
Mm-hmm.
The fuel prices will go down. That means less fuel being used because there's one particular entity that will be doing all the work in terms of a transportation system. In big cities, you have the trains, you have the buses that run on time, and so, but they're set up on a different parameter.
Mm-hmm.
The government of the Bahamas, they're only 50 years old, and we've been dragged kicking and screaming from the old British system to where we are today. And you have no one training anybody ahead of them. They're just simply perpetuating the system and keeping it as it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the gas people complaining about the fuel and the prices of them trying to stay in business. Then you have the customer who's complaining about the expense of it because they got to go from point A to point B. Then on top of that, you have the companies that actually supply the fuel. Then you have a group of people that control that end of things as well. If you hear about what fuel has to go through to get to the actual, not the stations, but the actual holding area.
Fuel goes through more than people go through to get married.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The irony is, though, everybody, they're in this spin cycle and they can't get out of it because it's perpetuated by people with money, and they want to keep the confusion going because as long as it's confused, they will continue to make what they make. The government on their side, the people who supply the fuel on their side, the gas station people on their side, and then at the end of the day, the only person who really is in this spin cycle and got to deal with it is the little fella who got to go and buy the fuel to put in his vehicle. The people on there's no bus stops because there's a taxi service that these people run in, man. You raise your hand and you say bus stop. You mean within 20 feet of where you say bus stop, that bus better stop. Or when piece of cussing can come forward, then dang, I make that mistake. What do you say? You're going to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
Then on top of that, you have the regulation of the buses. You got people running movies, man, on the buses.
Mm-hmm. Adult movies.
And then sometimes you got to ask them, listen, my brethren, you got children on this bus. You can't play something else a little more sensible?
Mm-hmm.
And I understand why they play the music because, boy, some of the conversations on these buses.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get into some things. So the fellas them turn the music up so they can't hear one another, so they can't talk, and so they ain't got to hear all of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, if you ride these, it's entertainment, man. I mean, cutting movies is a joke. These people, they be running straight up game. I mean, and the people I'm talking, their business straight out there as if nobody else on the bus. And you're saying to yourself, oh, Lord, and I got to deal with this when I get to work.
Mm-hmm. On top of it, then that's how you get to your work environment.
So you're already in as they say, you're already in a good mood when you get to work. You're ready to deal with them people.
Absolutely.
With yelling and the screaming and all the other stuff that come with it, that come automatic.
The misery index. Thank you very much, caller.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you very, very much. The misery index, ease of doing business and ease of accessing services. So, the misery index is an economic indicator created by economist Arthur O'Kun. The index helps determine how the average citizen is doing economically. The misery index is a measure of economic distress felt by everyday people due to the risk of or actual joblessness combined with an increased cost of living. It is calculated by adding the seasonally adjusted unemployment rate to the inflation rate. Since unemployment and inflation are both considered detrimental to one's economic well-being, their combined value is useful as an indicator of overall economic health. The original misery index was popularized in the 1970s with the development of stagflation, or simultaneously high inflation and unemployment. It is assumed that both a higher rate of unemployment and a worsening of inflation create economic and social costs for a country. So the misery index is unemployment rate with inflation rate. According to Trading Economics Global Macro Models and Analysts' expectations, the unemployment rate in the Bahamas is expected to reach 9.50% by the end of 2024. That same entity indicated that in the Bahamas, the unemployment rate decreased to 9.50% in 2023 from 10.10%. So we're going to use 9.50 as our unemployment rate, and the annual inflation rate taken from the same site, Trading Economics Global Macro Models and Analysts' Expectations, the annual inflation rate in the Bahamas rose to 1.7 in February 2024, up from 1.3 in the previous month. So I'm going to assume or presume that the same rise in the inflation rate will occur from month to month, but I'm only going to take it to March. So let's just say the inflation rate we're going to use is 2.1, right, for right now in May. So 9.50 plus 2.1 is 11.60. That is the misery index using the formal calculation, 11.60. And I think 7 and below, as they're saying, is reasonable, and we well above what is said is reasonable. What else contributes to the Bahamian Misery Index? I tell you what it was for me. Caller, producer, let's get the call lined up. I'm coming to you right now. Caller, give me a second. Here's what it is for me. Saw a news report yesterday. 11 new cars for 11 urban renewal stations. It's not that why they need new cars so quickly. Are they mashing up the cars? That's not what have me in a misery, right? It's that I don't know if it was 11 cars or 121 cars. I don't know if you got 11 cars, one for each station, or if you got 11 cars for 11 stations. I don't know if it's 11 or 121. I don't know where the broke up cars are. You send them to BTVI so the young mechanics could learn how to fix car? Don't repairing any of them? How y'all mashing up the car? But like I said, that don't have me bothered. Is it 11 or is it 121? Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Miss Greene.
Morning, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay, But the thing is, the misery index, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm vexed, right? So the fact that, when I hit Miss Greene, what is the reason for the radio airwaves? Are we to just discuss what's in the news? Why, if a caller with a deviant mind discuss what's not in the news? Why is that a problem on the plantation, Ms. Greene? Could you tell me, please? Why is the citizen becoming a problem? He's asking for accountability and for the curtailment of corruption. What I'm saying is, Ms. Greene, when you really look at it, if I have a personal conversation with you, I could give you about 100 reasons why I know these people are not interested in solving this crime problem that we have in this country. Why is it that if you're interested in the safety and freedoms of your Bahamian people, it becomes a problem on a plantation, Ms. Greene? Why is it that nobody is discussing this clip that Maria Daxon has with this pile of wood in the bush somewhere that people are burning, but they're flying all around the world talking about climate change and carbon offset, which is a bunch of BS, because when science confounds common sense, then I call it BS science, and I could get into it with anybody. But what I'm saying, Ms. Greene, if I decided to talk what's not in the news, should that make me a problem? So what I'm saying is these conversations are meaningless unless the people are standing together. We are too polarized politically, and this country will continue to sink, and don't care what nobody think. You know why? Because we live in a world where people want to paint your external reality. They want you to talk about what they want you to talk about, and then that's it. So Mr. Strawn made a joke and said I should take a vacation, but I am self-employed, Miss Greene. I can take a vacation anytime I feel like. My boss is in the grave, my mom, okay? He may hate to believe that somebody living in the inner city is a little bit comfortable, right? But you need to see what I eat and how I live. Right now, I have a tamarind in my mouth and my 2 pit bulls looking in my face as I said.
Okay, now I'm mad, 52. Because you could have sent me the video from Maria Daxon, and you could have sent me 2 tamarind.
No, but you could always get tamarind in mine, go out, and I could always drop them there, you know what I mean? But you know what I'm saying, Mr. Greene? I'm vexed that the news airwaves are cheating the Bahamian people by robbing people of their freedom of expression.
Okay, so
you can't have everybody come on the radio trying to sound harmonious or mellifluous. It doesn't make sense. I mean, I come to speak truth and right. What I'm saying is, does these people know the dangers with a rogue officer? Like, you think corruption contributes to the
misery index?
Corruption contributes to the misery index?
Absolutely.
Do you know the repercussions of a rogue officer on the safety and freedoms of an individual who is impoverished or who's poor in the
Absolutely.
city?
Absolutely.
Right. The term fittest of the fittest, what does that mean in the animal kingdom? The strongest animal will survive. But in the human realm, the person with the most money is the fittest of the fittest. So it's a different realm. It's the same thing. Natural selection is the same thing as the fittest of the fittest. So, I am sick and tired of being separated and castigated and excommunicated because of the way I think. And it stinks. Give thanks.
Blessings. 52, you got to be like the PLP. The PLP have 107 media outlet. Now, when I say that, what I mean is that there are a large number of social media platforms presenting local political discussions, discourse, and most times slander and things not fit for the public domain. And they purport to be, the messages purport to be, seem to be in support of the PLP. Anonymous. No names attached to stories. No faces attached to the website. Just be like them. Start a media outlet. Just start it. Just start posting every day. And people will gravitate to it. Another text here says, it's not an old mindset, it's a corruption-steeped mindset. You could have an entire cabinet of under 40-year-olds, and if 1 or 5 of them at the tippy top decided they need $1 million out of your contract, or I don't like you, or you don't support us, you ain't getting a contract. Nothing will move forward in this country. Texas says corruption, not age, is the thing stifling innovation. Has anybody answered any questions as yet on the 25 million air cargo no bid contract that added 18 cents per pound? 18 cents per pound? Right, because they wanted to put 40 cents per pound on it. And you see, that's a negotiating tactic. Take it high, because when they drop it low, they still ain't going below what you wanted. I suppose we should be thankful they didn't erect a gate in the middle of the ocean and charge every ship $1 per pound to pass through. Oh, a whole bunch of stories. Remember the disappearing policeman? Get bumped by a car and no longer exists. I don't even know his name. I haven't seen his name in print anywhere. Another text, producer, we got somebody new on the phone. Morning, caller. All right. If that's a caller, please call back. We couldn't hear you. No need to create a website for the public to see ideas. The COI has a page on their site called Think Tank, where citizens like that man can present solutions that can be implemented by the government. Problem is that we expect and want the PLP and FNM to change, knowing that whoever is in charge will do nothing new. Stop hating the messenger, Bahamians. Support your independent representatives or seek them out and break up this FNM PLP monopoly on governance. Let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller. Okay, caller, guess what? I can't hear you properly. Hold the line for me. Hold the line for me.
Or call back in about 3 minutes. It might be easier to do that, but it may be 3 minutes before we're able to correct the problem.
Right.
Call, you hear that? So 3 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. We get you in before the end of the show. Where and how can the government save money? How does one lower the cost of living?
But the government just announced that they save money. They use, that foreign company?
Geico?
No. The big
people that save money using Geico.
Imagine the big foreign.
Could imagine if the government actually used to insure things.
I think it said, Al-Qaeda says like $10 million we saved recently from the big Rothschild group. Said they helped us save $10 million in savings.
How much did it cost for them to help us save $10 million?
I didn't read the article. I just see the headline.
I can find that article.
Yeah, I just read the headline on it.
I'm going to find that article.
They said we saved money. I was excited.
How much money did we have to spend to save money? And did we actually save money? Or what you're saying is that Rothschild's group helped you to formulate a better economic strategy? Or they help you to construct a better budget? A better budget. Caller, call back. Call back, former caller. So again, the misery index is the unemployment rate with the inflation rate at the moment. I found these 3 articles from 2023. 17th of January, growing demands for social assistance. With prices elevated and many families possessing very limited resources to get by, the Department of Social Services has in recent months seen a growing demand for assistance. Minister of Social Services Obi Wilchcombe said yesterday. Second article, Misery Index Relief for Bahamians. This is on ZNS's platform, 14th of August, 2023. The Minister of Social Services and Urban Development said his ministry is doing all it can to meet the demand for assistance in the country as the Misery Index remains high. Third story, Sands claims misery index rising. Though the Bahamas is celebrating a record year for tourism, FNM Chairman Dwayne Sands said yesterday the economy is in a poor state and Bahamians are suffering as he called on the government to stop trying to fix the economy through taxation. So that's January, August, and December. I just want to make this point. Who authorized the removal of $25,000 from the Persons with Disabilities Commission to pay for the memorial for Obi Wilchcombe at Bahama? For a man who had spent his days fighting for the vulnerable people in this country. $25,000. Every day when I drive through Nassau, in Providence, I'm watching people ignore, bastardize, and mock disabled members of this community, of this country, by throwing their cars on the sidewalk, parking their car on the access ramp to the sidewalk for people in wheelchairs and with mobility issues, throwing their cars into disabled parking spots. And some of these companies are the finest companies in the country. Some of these companies provide the best service. When you look at what it is that they do it with integrity. They operate and adhere to international and global standards. And I trust that they understand what is required of them, but yet on the outside of their buildings, they have no regard for poor people. There's a quote here where Obi Wilchcombe references that members of the disabled community, here we go, the minister added, quote, $2 yesterday may be 50 cents today. That's the reality. A dollar is not as strong as it used to be. Then you have another situation here. Think about the disabled. The high cost it already is for them, and their dollar is not of the same value as yours because of their demands, stuff that they must provide for themselves. It's not easy. And then you go on and take $25,000 from the Disability Commission to hold a memorial for a man who said that. Ease of doing business and accessing services, and ordinary people refuse to acknowledge the needs of the vulnerable among them. Okay, let me get to the text line quickly as we get to the end of the show. Ms. Greene, whatever happened to that gunman who Okay, this is a text about a killing and CCTV images shared over social media. I have no idea what happened to the assailant in that matter, texter. Another text, Erin, haven't you realized that politicians are the aristocratic class in considering first when spending? The Disability Commission is considered the peasant class. Oh, I know what the political class thinks of itself when it does think of itself. You know, that's how it goes. It's the same way that white people don't understand that they're not the default. Like there's white people and there's other people. The political class isn't even aware of itself. Texter. That is a particularly frustrating issue that we're going to raise as often as possible so we can remember what not to do in the future. But there's the Minister of Social Services pointing out that there are other factors involved in the calculation of the misery index for people in the community, in the disabled community. Mr. Newey, what adds to your misery index?
Being able to enjoy dinner. I find that it's an arm and leg to take this wife out. That's frustrating me.
The cost of
Food,
dining?
Dining out is pricey.
It's extremely pricey.
Yeah, and when I go out, it's like be four of us. You know, that's
Family of four.
family of four. That's take a toll on me.
I mean, and this is I want to crack a joke because that's what I do, but this is a serious matter on the table. In a tourist destination, the average Bahamian has been priced out of the culinary options on the island. And I can be honest with you, I don't understand why people are paying the same amount of money for sushi from a takeaway. Like, I can't even come to where you make the sushi. You gotta deliver it to me. Why are you charging me the same price as a brick and mortar establishment is charging me for food? Why is fish fry operating? Why are those stalls out there operating like brick and mortar businesses without?
You know what your buffet costs now? $100 for the Mother's
They
Day.
don't even talk-
$120.
The devil is a liar.
And then regular is $75 per person.
The devil is a liar.
That's a lot of money to eat.
How-
I used to get one plate.
What's the time limit?
And now they have time limits. I didn't know. I couldn't stay all day and wait till it digests and go on the line again. They say time to go.
Don't wait for it to digest.
But time just
You
go.
know the little 30 minutes so you don't cramp when you're swimming through the food?
Yeah.
Just give it 30 minutes.
Okay. And they don't allow you to take food out no more. That's why I get my Ziploc
You
bag.
can't get a takeaway plate for your last serving?
They don't. No take.
They'd rather throw it away.
You rather throw it away. So you got to carry a Ziploc bag and a big sack to make sure you get yours. And they look at you funny.
Thank you. We're going to end the show with a tip for 2024 in reducing your misery index. Ziploc is the new furl,
That's new for real.
right? It's technologically advanced.
What your boy MD says? Life hard?
Yeah, life hard. Just keep 2 Ziploc in your bag at all times. Thank you for playing that music. Producer, you living in the hands of the finance man?
Me?
No, don't answer that. Thank you, producer. Thank you to the audience.
I don't spend
Last text, yes, Ms. Greene. I must commend Harbor Bay. Their security officers always try to enforce the handicap parking law rule. And it's so disappointing that they still get a hard time from the public when they are told they aren't allowed to park. I watch a man in front of his 2 teenage kids cuss the security out because he was told not to park in the handicap pocket. Sometimes I take the risk of driving in my drop-kicking shoes. It's a big risk, though. I want to be safe on the road. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned. Guardian Radio AM and CA News is up next.
I thought it was only Tuesday.
Child, is plenty things what you ain't know. But just stick with me and I gonna learn you.
Sing there.